Silence. All stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the reading of the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, the proclamation. All persons having any business before this honorable court now draw nigh. Give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Shahad Samir Al-Majid.
May it please the court, I move that my sister, Shahad Samir Al-Majid, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shahad Samir Al-Majid be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rahul Riaz Ali.
May it please the court, I move that Rahul Riaz Ali be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable
Let
court.
Rahul Riaz Ali be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Abby May Allsop.
May it please the court, I move that Abby May Allsop be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Abby May Allsop be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Halima Marjan Ansari.
May it please the court, I move that Halima Marjan Ansari be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Halima Marjan Ansari be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mithra Baskaran.
May it please the court, I move that Mithra Baskaran be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Mithra Baskaran be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew Charles Bugling.
May it please the court, I move that Matthew Charles Bugling be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Matthew Charles Bugling be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jenny Elena Bridges.
May it please the court, I move that my friend Jenny Elena Bridges be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jenny Elena Bridges be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ariella Pia Bucci.
May it please the court, I move that Ariella Pia Bucci be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ariella Piabucci be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jasmine Kate Chua.
May it please the court, I move that Jasmine Kate Chua be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jasmine Kate Dewar be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tani Lee Christini.
May it please the court, I move that Tani Lee Christini be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tani Lee Christini be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Reagan Lienko Banks Darby.
May it please the court, I move that Reagan Linko Banks Darby be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Reagan Lienko Banks Darby be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Harsh Vardhan Deshwal.
May it please the court, I move that Harsh Vardhan Deshwal be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Harsh Vardhan Deshwal be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tanya Durham.
May it please the court, I move that Tanya Durham be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tanya Durham be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kaylee Marie Edwards.
May it please the court, I move that Kaylee Marie Edwards be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Kaylee Marie Edwards be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Audrey Echeloni.
May it please the court, I move that Audrey Echeloni be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Audrey Echeloni be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Georgie Louise Phillip.
May it please the court, I move that Georgie Louise Phillip be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Georgie Louise Phillip be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Brodie Rose Forsyth.
May it please the court, I move that Brodie Rose Forsyth be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Brodie Rose Forsyth be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Candice Mary Gibson.
May it please the court, I move that Candice Mary Gibson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Candace Mary Gibson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Eloise Catherine Givney.
May it please the court, I move that Eloise Catherine Givney be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Eloise Catherine Givney be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jamie Lorna Gradden.
May it please the court, I move that Jamie Lorna Gradden be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Jamie Lorna Gradden be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emily Brooke Hodges.
May it please the court, I move that Emily Brooke Hodges be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Emily Brooke Hodges be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Gain Ichiro Ito.
May it please the court, I move that Gain Ichiro Ito be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Gain Ichiro Ito be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Caroline Okupe Keeley.
May it please the court, I move that Caroline Okupe Keeley be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable
That
court.
Caroline Okupe Keeley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jack Kennings Langley.
May it please the court, I move that Jack Kennings Langley be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Jack Kennings Langley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kathy Marr.
May it please the court, I move that Kathy Marr be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Yes, let Kathy Marr be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nadia Meher Mahmood.
May it please the court, I move that Nadia Meher Mahmood be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Nadia Meher Mahmood be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sijia Mao.
May it please the court, I move that Sijia Mayao be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sijia Mao be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Savine Josie Matthews.
May it please the court, I move that Savine Josie Matthews be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Savine Josie Matthews be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexandra Sarah McGrath.
May it please the court, I move that my niece, Alexandra Sarah McGrath, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alexandra Sarah McGrath be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Maria Angelica Monica Mojica.
May it please the court, I move that Maria Angelica Monica Mojica be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Maria Angelica Monica Mojica be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Naomi Najurin.
May it please the court, I move that Naomi Najurin be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Naomi Najurin be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rebecca Jane Pelletson.
May it please the court, I move that Rebecca Jane Pelletson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rebecca Jane Pelletson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Derek Robert Pickering.
May it please the court, I move that Derek Robert Pickering be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Derek Robert Pickering be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Piranat Pimpilla.
May it please the court, I move that Piranat Pimpella be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Piranat Pimpilla be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Madeleine Rose Pollard.
May it please the court, I move that Madeleine Rose Pollard be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Madeleine Rose Pollard be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jessica Lucy Rawpart.
May it please the court, I move that Jessica Lucy Rawpart be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jessica Lucy Rawpart be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Savannah Rahayam.
May it please the court, I move that Savannah Rahayam be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Savannah Rahayam be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Madeline May Roberts.
May it please the court, I move that Madeleine May Roberts be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Madeleine May Roberts be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Reshmita Sinal Singh.
May it please the court, I move that Reshmita Sinal Singh be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rashmita Sinha Singh be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Olivia Louise Somerton,
May it please the court, I move that Olivia Louise Somerton be admitted as a lawyer in this honourable court.
Let Olivia Louise Somerton be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Elizabeth Layla Sukar,
May it please the court, I move that Elizabeth Layla Sukar be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Elizabeth Layla Sukar be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ibrahim Marwan Sweden,
May it please the court, I move that Ibrahim Marwan Sweden be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ibrahim Marwan Sweden be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tara Kate Sophia Taylor,
May I please the court, I move that Tara Kate Sophia Taylor be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tara Kate Sophia Taylor be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Madison Eve Lee Williams,
May it please the court, I move that Madison Eve Lee Williams be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Madison Eve Lee Williams be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Pik Kwan Yao,
May it please the court, I move that Pik Kwan Yao be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Pik Kwan Yao be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yue Ye,
May it please the court, I move that Yue Ye be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yue Ye be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Betsy Chi Shan Yong,
May it please the court, I move that Betsy Chi Shan Yong be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Betsy Chi Shan Yong be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Eddie Ian Zhang,
May it please the court, I move that Eddie Ian Zhang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Eddie Ian Zhang be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will now be necessary for those applicants whose admission has just been moved to stand as directed by the officiating officer and remain standing for the purpose of swearing an oath or making a declaration or affirmation. So, as directed, please stand when your row is called.
would the first two rows please stand? Shahad Samir Al-Majed, Rahul Riaz Ali, Abby May Alsop, Halima Marjan Ansari, Mithra Baskaran, Matthew Charles Bugling, Jenny Elena Bridges, Ariella Pia Bucci, Jasmine Kate Chua, Tani Lee Christini, Reagan Lienko Banks Darby, Harsh Vardhan Deshwal, Tanya Durham, Kaylee Marie Edwards, Audrey Echeloni, Georgie Louise Phillip. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill, and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
I do.
Would you please be seated? Would the second two rows please stand? Brodie Rose Forsyth, Candice Mary Gibson, Eloise Catherine Givney, Jamie Lorna Graddon, Emily Brooke Hodges, Gainachiro Ito, Cara Lynn Okupe Keeley, Jack Kennings Langley, Kathy Ma, Nadia Meher Mahmood, Sijia Mao, Savine Josie Matthews, Alexandra Sarah McGrath, Maria Angelica Monica Mojica, Naomi Nadjarin, Rebecca Jane Pelazon, Derek Robert Pickering, Piranut Pimpilla, Madeleine Rose Pollard, Jessica Lucy Rawpa. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state, according to the best of your knowledge, skill, and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"? Would you please be seated? Would the two rows to my left please stand? Savannah Rehayam, Madeleine May Roberts, Rishmita Sinal Singh, Olivia Louise Summerton, Elizabeth Layla Sukar, Ibrahim Marwan Sweden, Tara Kate Sophia Taylor, Madison Eve Lee Williams, Pik Kwan Yao, Yue Ye, Betsy Chi Shan Yong, Eddie Ian Zhang. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state, according to the best of your knowledge, skill, and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"? I do. Would you please be seated?
Well, may I warmly welcome all of you to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today to my right is Justice Campbell, and to my immediate left is Justice Natalie Adams, who both of whom are judges of the Common Law Division of this court. And together we constitute the court that has, in the exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you, the newly admitted lawyers, to practice. I also acknowledge the presence on the bench this afternoon of Her Honour Judge Dina Yahia, SC, a Judge of the District Court of New South Wales, who, it was announced yesterday, will be elevated to the Supreme Court the week after next, and I'm delighted she can join us on the bench today. This ceremony is taking place in the Banco court, which is the court's not only ceremonial court, but a working court as well, and it and the court stands on land for which the Gadigal of the Eora Nation have cared and been custodians of for thousands of years. And the court, both the court and I personally, pay my respects to Gadigal elders, past, present and emerging, and we extend those respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And in the spirit of the Uluru Statement from the Heart, which looks forward to a fuller expression of Australia's nationhood with great dignity, we acknowledge the regrettable reality that this nation's laws and legal systems have so often in the past delivered the opposite of, or less than, justice to First Nations people. Well, to all of the new lawyers in the room today, welcome to the legal profession and congratulations. Today is one for a celebration of your admission and all the work and effort that has gone into getting here. You've all worked extremely hard, we know, to get here. Countless late nights of study, obscure problem questions, wafer-thin pages of textbooks or material online, and more cases than you can hope to remember. And for most of you, your journey has involved 2 extraordinarily challenging final years of study or working towards admission to practice, affected by the pandemic, and in which you have been deprived of many of the opportunities for the forging of close bonds with your peers that those years usually present. You have faced and come through an additional adversity unprecedented in our lifetimes, and that makes your achievement we mark this afternoon all the more impressive, and the resilience you no doubt have developed will stand you well into the future. In being admitted as a lawyer of this court, you join a profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an oath on admission to practice dates back to the 12th century. And this court first admitted lawyers in 1824. By 1830, the names of new lawyers were entered onto the rolls in this state, as you will do immediately after this ceremony downstairs in the foyer of the court. And so you have thus become part of a long, distinguished tradition almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, it seems that you've been studying for 200 years, but the study is over for the time being. Can I now extend a welcome to all of your friends and family who are either with you here today in person or watching on the live stream of this ceremony. For many of you, the support of your family and friends no doubt has been invaluable in the journey to this point. They no doubt have been on the receiving end of your developing skills of argument and persuasion. I encourage you to take the time to thank them today, and depending on how good an advocate you have each become, you might even convince them to shout you dinner, buy you a drink, or you could thank them for their perseverance and tolerance yourself over the years. The law touches every part of our society, and it can and will lead you all in many different directions and career paths. But in whatever direction you head, you must always remember that the oath or affirmation you've just made is a very serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, for legal aid, in a Crown Law office, a government department or agency, or an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice, and must strive at all times to uphold these values. Admission as a member of the legal profession is a privilege and not a right. It is in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the fact that your admission has been moved by someone who is already a member of the profession, and also by the fact that you have made a formal oath or affirmation in the presence of your family and peers, and indeed of the members of the bench. We and they are all witnesses to the promises and undertakings you have made today. As to formality, you will see from some of the portraits portraits of former Chief Justices hanging on the halls of this court, that we on the bench are wearing the same robes, in some cases literally, as have been worn by our predecessors. Now, that is actually for important symbolic reasons. The symbol is that it highlights the continuity of the rule of law in New South Wales. That is to say, we've had a system of independent courts, separate to government, hearing cases, administering justice consistently unbroken for 200 years. And in a world where there is much global uncertainty and insecurity, the rule of law is more important than ever, and not simply an empty or theoretical phrase. The rule of law is the opposite of the arbitrary abuse of power and the rule of autocratic dictators and populists. And we know from recent experience that there is nothing theoretical about those two scourges. Now, although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. Of course, the pandemic meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtrooms and technology to ensure that access to justice continued in the midst of the pandemic. The court took the view that it was essential that justice continued to be done, the courts continued to be open and available, notwithstanding the logistical and practical challenges presented by the pandemic. For all the challenges we faced with new technology, new opportunities presented themselves, including greater workplace flexibility, which is, we know, especially important for lawyers with family responsibilities. And better use of technology also has had profound implications for how our legal system interacts with and is able to reach those who are not able to attend in person for reasons beyond their control, whether they're in rural or remote areas, whether they have a disability or otherwise are unable to attend court. But although the use of increased technology offers a number of advantages, the reality is that the practice of the law has human nature and human interaction at its core. An essential part of being a good lawyer is understanding people, how others react to different situations, how they perform under pressure and deal with each other. It is an intensely human endeavour. And as I said in my recent swearing-in speech as Chief Justice, whilst the remote practice of the law aided by technology may be possible, it is far from desirable. There are, of course, many other changes in the law and the tradition that deserve attention, in addition to those brought about by the pandemic. When we think, for example, of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter something of a duality. We have, in some respects, come a long way in recent decades. On the other hand, much still needs to be done. For example, and it seems extraordinary to us today, but although women were originally not even permitted to be lawyers in New South Wales, or even if qualified to be admitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors. They now make up half of all magistrates in the local court, and 2/3 of solicitors under the age of 30 are female. And women also occupy many of the most senior legal positions in the land, including the Chief Justice of the High Court, the Chief Justice of Queensland, the Chief Justice of the ACT and Victoria, our federal and state DPPs, the President of the Court of Appeal of this court, and of course Her Excellency the Honourable Margaret Beazley, our Governor, also held the office as President of the Court of Appeal for many years. So there has been great movement in gender diversity. But there should not only be gender diversity, but also strong representation of lawyers from the many different backgrounds which comprise our cosmopolitan community. Diverse representation amongst solicitors, amongst barristers or advocates, and amongst judges assists in ensuring that all people who become involved in our justice system, often involuntarily, can and feel that they can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system and lawyers reflective of our broader community. The admission ceremonies, such as this, on which I've sat since becoming a judge some 3.5 years ago, highlight that there is a far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than when I commenced practice, and that is a very good thing. You, the newly admitted lawyers, are in a terrific position. You enter the profession at a time when, more than ever, I think your words and actions are having an impact for good. You're being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unfair laws, a particular case, systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable, or unsustainable working cultures, including unacceptable sexual harassment or bullying. You should speak up for the things that matter and in which you believe. That is the tradition of the legal profession. People of principle, men and women of principle, with strong views, clarity of expression and conviction in their beliefs. You are the future of the profession, and you should, as I say, stand up and speak out for your beliefs. Now, I would also urge you to engage with your communities outside the law. Your training as a lawyer in systematic thought, the importance of matters of principle and fundamental fairness, including procedural fairness, equip you very well for service beyond your day-to-day practices or jobs. You'll also derive great satisfaction from such engagement in the community. Now, turning from opportunities to obligations, and I hope a little bit of friendly advice. As a lawyer, you'll often need to make tough, difficult ethical decisions. You must use the tools you've developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court and the administration of justice. In this context, one mistake you must not make is to give your clients the advice you think they want to hear. That will not be good advice. Justice Gageler, before he went to the High Court, said this, and I quote, "You must be prepared," he said, "to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question, or for what purpose, or in what context the asking may occur." That was, as one might expect from His Honour, very good advice indeed. Being a lawyer now means that you are an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate. And as you go about your day-to-day work, remember, please, that you are not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum or as an abstract construct, but law as it applies to people's lives. An individual in need of your services as a lawyer is, in most cases, an individual facing some kind of great personal challenge or crisis affecting his or her liberty, property, family, children, personal well-being, or health or financial position. For these reasons, you must always strive to deliver legal services sensitively, competently, and fearlessly, yes, but always with courtesy, integrity, and respect. And in this context, I wish to emphasise the importance of civility in the practice of the law. Aspects of the law, especially litigation, are necessarily confrontational, that is, our adversarial system of justice in the courts. But even beyond litigation, the practice of the law can be stressful and demanding enough without personal animus or antagonism between practitioners adding to the load. It's essential when representing your clients against other parties to maintain your detachment, balance, and good humour, remembering at all times that you are members of a profession and not a business. And remember this also, the best advocates can and do make their point simply and succinctly. Quite often, less is more. Now, some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could use that reminder from time to time. I include myself in that. For a non-lawyer, law is often, and I think frequently, incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make the law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, but not more often than not, trying to express in clear terms people's rights and obligations. Strive to be clear and concise at all times in your advice, in your writing, and in your speaking. Now, I also want to speak briefly about failure. There will inevitably be quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points of your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. We all make mistakes from time to time, especially when we're starting something new. What is important is you try not to make the same mistake twice. And when you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from your mistakes. Your physical and mental health are also both extremely important. This is something we recognise today in a much more sophisticated and open way than we did even 10 years ago. There may be, and I dare say there will be times when you will feel overwhelmed, burnt out, or distressed by practice. Legal practice can be all-consuming and physically and mentally taxing. That's often because lawyers will go the extra mile for their client. They will burn the midnight oil. They will try and get the best result possible for their client, and that is an admirable and good thing. But the pressure and burden of work does mount up, so you must work hard to keep your balance and keep your eye out to ensure that your colleagues do as well. If you do get overwhelmed by it all, as frankly we all have and still do, I might add, from time to time, try to take a step back and recapture some perspective, or suggest gently to your colleagues that they might think of doing so themselves. In this context, you should know this: the legal profession is a highly collegiate one, and in times of difficulty, the support and friendship of your peers will prove invaluable. For those of you who go on to become solicitors or barristers, the Law Society and the Bar Association are both institutions which are very sharply attuned to the demands of practice and offer great institutional support. Now, can I say this to you all in closing? You'd be pleased to know. The law is a wonderful profession. It is stimulating, it is challenging, it is satisfying, and it is populated by intelligent, committed, and dynamic people such as you, the newly admitted lawyers. You should be proud to be a lawyer and of your achievements to date, and you should remain proud to be a lawyer. It is a very, very important profession for our society's cohesion. And a legal career is, as I've said, one that can take you in many different directions, all of which are interesting and rewarding. So hold your heads high and the very best of luck on the exciting journey that I'm sure lies ahead. On behalf of Justice Campbell, Justice Adams, Judge Shahir, I'm sure, and all the judges of the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. Thank you. The court will now adjourn.
All stand. This honourable court is now adjourned. God save the Queen.